Welcome back, teachers. This is a quick demo to communicate the guidelines for setting up your gradebook. This refresher is for middle school teachers who teach year-long courses. If you are not a middle school teacher whose course starts on the first day of school and ends on the last day of school, please close this video and select a different refresher that's specific to the course you teach. The first area I would like to draw your attention to is the Classes pane in the upper left corner of your screen. You should see a list of classes that you're scheduled to teach this year. If you do not see a list of classes, first try the drop-down. Make sure that you've selected either current classes or the current term. If you've tried both of those and you still don't see your classes listed, please communicate that to your school data manager. They need to go back in and check the settings sections to make sure that everything is set up correctly. After you see your list of classes, select the one that we're going to use for your grade setup. After you've selected your class, I'd like to draw your attention to the Categories pane in the lower left corner. Power Teacher comes preset with a list of categories. These may even be the same as the ones you set up last year if you had a Power Teacher gradebook. Think of your categories as applying to all of the courses that you teach. In middle schools this year, your principals decided that you could have common categories and category weights among courses in your school. So for example, all middle school social studies in your building should have the same list of categories with the same category weights. Likewise, all English language arts classrooms would have different categories from social studies, but all of the ELA classes must share the same categories, same category weight, and same grade setup. This differs a little bit with your elective classes. Elective classes setups may be unique to that particular course. So for example, band would have its unique set of categories, as would PE and art. Just make sure that if there are multiple sections of that elective class, like multiple sections of PE with different PE teachers, you all share the same categories and same grade setup. If you have any questions about what's expected of you in that area, please contact your principal. To add a new category, you click on the plus sign. Type in the name of the category, and for this demonstration I'm going to use project. Add the abbreviation. Give it a color. Change the points possible from the default of 10 to 100. I strongly recommend that in any category that you use this year that you change the points possible to 100. Unless you are using a point system in which every assignment in that category is out of the same number of points. If you don't do that, and all of your assignments in that category are out of a different number of points, you could be inadvertently weighting your assignments. So that's why I recommend that all points possible be a 100. After you've done that, click OK. And your project is now listed under your categories. Now in that same vein, if I create this category and realize we're not going to use it, or it's one of the default categories from Power Teacher and you just don't want it, you can highlight it and click the minus and confirm the delete to remove that category. Now we're going to set up your final grade calculations. Click on the Grade Setup tab, and you see a list of your reporting terms. Before we set up your grade specifications, I want to draw your attention to the start and end date for each term. The way you need to think about this is any assignment entered in between this date range is included in the average for that term. So for example, if I create an assignment and the assignment date is October the 27th, that it's going to be a part of the Q1 grade. If I am a little bit late entering my grades and I'm entering an assignment on October the 29th, but it's still part of first quarter, because the date is after the end date in your grade book, it's actually going to be included in the quarter 2 average, not the quarter 1 average. So these dates are very important to pay attention to. I'd like for you to go ahead and click on the arrow beside the F1 term, and F1 is an abbreviation inside of PowerSchool that indicates that's the final mark of the class. So your final mark is going to be calculated with term weights. So select term weights. And this may or may not be populated with what you had last year, but it's important to note what it should be this year to make sure that it's calculating correctly. So what you need to do is you look at the weight column. And these are all weighted equally. And since there are 4 terms, that's going to divide up into 25% each. So this is fine as is. We can save this and move on. Since I'm not making any changes, this is what it was the last time. It doesn't give me the save option. So just to show you what that looks like, if I wanted to force it into a 25%, I can make everything equal by changing it all to 25. Notice that the weight or the percent didn't change, but I can go ahead and click save. And it'll keep those changes. So that's how you set up your final term. All of your quarters have to be weighted equally so that it's 25%. Each quarter is 25% of the final grade. Your quarter terms are going to use category weights. And this is going to be specific to your PLC and your subject area of your school. But it does need to be the same within that PLC and subject area. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to select 3 categories. So click on the plus to add a category, and I'm going to pick homework, tests, and classwork. I want classwork and homework to be weighted equally, but homework to me is going to have a little less weight than the other 2. So I'm going to give classwork a weight of 45, homework a weight of 10, and my tests are going to be a weight of 45. And notice that my percentages have updated to the way I want them. I'm going to click save. I need to replicate this information on the other 3 quarters. Now I can do this manually by clicking the arrows and typing in the information over again. Or since it needs to be identical for each of my quarters, I can click the copy button. And the item that I want to copy is the preference for quarter 1. Click OK. And I want to copy that to Q2, Q3, and Q4. Click Next and confirm. And now that same setup has copied to second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Once I set this up for my first course, I can go in and click the same copy button, but this time I want to copy the entire class to a different period. So I could put it in my next course. And that way, if you've got several preps of the same thing, you don't have to manually set it up. But do make sure that you go through the process of setting it up for each quarter and for each course that has the same grading preferences. Once you have this all set up, the result is the quarter terms will be an average of the category and the assignments within that category based on the way that you set up your category weights. The final mark will be an average of those 4 averages equally. So if you have any questions about the result of this, or if you're having any issues, feel free to ask your principal, because there should be somebody in your building that is designated to assist you with making sure your grade setups are correct. You could also contact your data manager, or you feel like you need just a little more help in understanding all of the functions of the grade book, then you can go to the ncsys.org website, click on Training and Recorded Refreshers, and there is a gradebook webinar that you can watch that should explain the intricate details of using your gradebook. I hope you find this informative. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask your principal, your data manager, or contact Amanda Richardson. Best of luck to a great school year.